rather than again. This is March 14th, 2024 meeting of Jefferson City Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Dale Vaughn and I'm the chair of the commission. I would like to remind everyone present to please silence phones and other electronics during the meeting. We'll go ahead and have council members introduce themselves, starting with the council liaison.
Mike Lester, council liaison.
Bunny Tricky Cotton.
Tom Wordenhouse.
Ed Hazelton.
Penny Quigg, Vice Chair.
Shannon Hawk.
Hank Vogt.
Sarah Michael.
Quinn Bush, City Planner.
Eric Barron, Planning Manager.
Clint Smith, Director of Land and Protective Services.
Sean McCall, Associate City Attorney.
Shane Wade, Plan Review Engineer.
Tiffany Pearson.
The city code authorizes 9 regular members and 3 alternates. Alternates are designated to vote upon the absence or disqualification of regular members. A quorum of 5 members or alternates is necessary for business. I declare that a quorum is present. The following regular members are absent this evening: Tricky Young and Jacob Robinette. Are there any members who would like to disqualify from voting on any agenda item? The current members voting are here tonight. Is someone in attendance to present the case? The case is P24002-1235 Trade Center Parkway. Are there any requests for continuance? No. Are there any requests to reorder the agenda? Okay, Courtney, will you please read the format of the hearing and order of testimony?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to briefly describe the procedures of the commission. The proceedings of the meeting are being recorded, so please project your voice when speaking and give your name and address for the record. The standard order of each case is as follows. After introduction of the request by city staff, the applicant or their consultant will provide information on the request. The only presentation by the applicant shall be limited to 10 minutes unless additional time is granted by the commission. The applicant shall have 3 additional minutes for closing testimony if requested. We will then ask to hear from supporters of the request. We will then ask to hear from opponents of the request. We will then ask to hear from anyone else who wishes to speak on the request. Testimony shall be limited to 3 minutes unless additional time is granted by the commission. City staff will then give the recommendations on the request. In order to reduce the time necessary to hear an application, references to printed materials including staff reports and actual findings shall not be read into the record unless directed by the commission. The commission will close testimony from the floor. The commission will then discuss the proposals and publicly make a determination with reasons. A formal motion shall be positive. That is, that the motion shall be made to accept the request as presented, or modifications, stipulations, or conditions. A final vote will be taken with ayes in favor and nays opposed. The chair shall announce the results of the vote, specifying the number of votes cast in favor and the number of votes cast against. The following documents are entered as exhibits for all items under consideration at this meeting. The City Code of City of Jefferson as amended, the comprehensive plan and land use map, copies of applications under consideration, a list of property owners to whom notices were sent, the affidavit of publication of the public notice to the newspaper, copies of drawings, plans, and/or renderings under consideration, letters and memorandum of staff, staff reports, minutes of proceedings, correspondence, or other materials submitted by the public or the applicant. Rules of procedure for the Jefferson City Planning and Zoning Commission. These items are public record and available for inspection to the Department of Planning and Protective Services or through the Office of the City Clerk. Please be advised that any items that are presented, distributed, or otherwise received pertaining to the case under consideration become the property of the commission. This includes any photographs, drawings, petitions, and letters. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Courtney. Let's have a motion to adopt the agenda as printed.
So sorry, I turned that off. My apologies, everybody.
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carries. Can I have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of February 8th, 2024?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carries. We haven't received any communication. Okay, we'll go on to Courtney. Could you please present the case?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this property is highlighted in blue on the screen. It's located at 1235 Trade Center Parkway and is located on the east side of that roadway. It is zoned UD, Plan Unit Development, and it has vacant land. adjacent zoning is as follows. To the north is zoned PUD, with there being vacant land, and then a little bit further north is residential use, but that is outside of the city limits. So this location is way on the west side of the city. And so to the north, there is, you can see that it does extend outward, but there is residential use to the north. And then to the east is zone PUD, with there being vacant land and utility use. To the south is zoned a little bit PUD before it goes into M1 light industrial, with there being vacant land. And then to the west is zoned PUD with vacant land, and then a little bit further west is residential use. This is a closer up aerial of the site, again with it highlighted in blue. It consists of 1.27 acres, and what the applicant is requesting tonight is a preliminary PUD plan, and they are requesting this plan to develop the property with a residential 10-plex, which would have 2 stories, and it would have a floor area of about 12,500, and each unit would have a square footage of about 2,248. The property has had a few planning and zoning cases over the last 14 years, with one in 2010 being for a preliminary and final subdivision plat, and then in 2014 there was a case which rezoned the property from M1 light industrial to what is now PUD, plan unit development. Preliminary PUD plan requests are reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the commission makes a recommendation to the city council, which then the council makes the final decision. So here's the site plan for that preliminary PUD plan. And the next 3 slides are visuals that were included in the application materials, but they're also provided in the case packet for your all's review in addition to the narrative describing this proposal. So going into a little bit of detail on this particular visual, which is again that site plan for the PUD plan. Landscaping, there are 7 trees which are proposed for the west side of the parking lot. And this would meet the requirement for shading, and then lighting is proposed to be building mounted. The mail service is, there's a cluster box located on the, next to the parking lot, above the drive entrance, between the 2 trees just above that drive entrance. And then for parking, to fulfill the parking requirement, which is 2 spaces per unit, they are going above that with 30 parking spaces proposed, and one of those would be ADA compliant. There is a 5-foot wide sidewalk shown on the east side of Trade Center Parkway going along the frontage of the subject property. And then as far as a traffic and a traffic analysis or traffic impact study, the daily average peak hour trips is expected to be about 6.2 trips for a 10-unit, which is what this uses, a 10-unit apartment per the ITE traffic impact analysis data. So therefore, a site-specific traffic impact analysis is not required. And then as far as utilities, utility services are noted on the plan, and they would need to, of course, meet all city code requirements in all stages of development. This next slide is the building elevation, showing the first is the rear elevation, then the one below it is the front elevation of the building, and the next one below the farthest down elevation is the side. The exterior of the building is said to measure about 34.5 feet by 103.83 feet. Brick veneer and siding will be used, and asphalt shingles will be used for the roof. The roof finish. And again, there are 10 units proposed. Here's a floor plan of that apartment, that 10-plex. And a note on PD plans is that, of course, with PD plans, the permitted uses vary because they are dependent on the approved site plan. What they're proposing is a multi-family residential use for this particular PUD plan. And staff is recommending an underlying zoning district of RA2 high density residential. That's some initial details on that request. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Courtney. Do any commissioners have any questions for Courtney? Do any commissioners have any questions for staff? We will now hear from the persons who would like to present the case. Please come forward and speak. Please come forward to the microphone and give your name. You know that.
My name is Glenn Trump from Central Missouri Professional Services. I'm the engineer on the project. We have the owners here too, Mr. and Mr. Shrimp. Courtney pretty well has covered about everything the basics of it. Just wanted to call out, it's high demand of housing in the city. Shrimp have been around a long time, very representative. They did quality work, so they're doing a similar fourplex over a North 10 Mile Drive that they're about to finish up that you guys approved last year. Other than that, it's pretty well cut and dry. I don't know if you have any other questions or concerns.
Any questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this request? No. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in opposition of this request? Is there anyone else who would like to just speak on this request? Seeing none, we will now close testimony. Courtney, with the staff report, please.
So the area consists of both multi-family and single-family residential uses. The proposed complex would be compatible with such uses, and the use itself is in alignment with the intent and standards of the zoning code, and we need to continue to do so. The development will need to meet, of course, all other city code requirements. Staff recommends an underlying zoning district of RA2 high density residential, and staff recommends approval of the preliminary PUD plan.
As far as public works review, the public infrastructure does exist in the vicinity. A new driveway proposed to Trade Center Parkway to access the site for vehicular access. Stormwater is to be directed to Trade Center Parkway, the system that was installed with that roadway extension. Stormwater quality treatment would be a part of the final plan submittal, as well as erosion and sediment control. There is a subdivision-sized detention basin that was constructed during the first phase of the subdivision that this project would drain to. There is an existing sanitary sewer that's been constructed along Trade Center Parkway. Sidewalk is required along Trade Center Parkway to be constructed with this development. Both fire hydrants and water lines have been installed for the subdivision. Regarding streetlights and any other utilities, those still may or may not need to be installed. The city has not yet accepted this street for maintenance, as well as the stormwater and the sewer, so we need to make sure that that gets done in conjunction with any development that would occur for the project. So public works staff would recommend approval as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do any commissioners have any questions for staff? Seeing none, would someone like to make a motion?
I move to recommend approval of the requested preliminary PUD plan for a single two-story 10-plex residential building with the following conditions. To establish the RA2 high-density residential zoning district as the underlying zoning designation for the purpose of determining permitted uses, signage, and lighting, and to address the technical comments of the city staff.
A second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
So this will go on then to city council for introduction on April 1st, and then for a vote on April 15th, both held here in the council chambers at 6 p.m.
Other new business?
That's it, one case on the agenda. You certainly don't feel compelled to stick around.
I think the MU students got off too easy.
Yeah.
You come back on a harder case.
Appreciate your contribution to our community with growth and housing, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just a few updates. First, Commission member Emily Fretwell submitted her resignation just after the last meeting. And so she resigned from the commission. I think she has reasons that she's looking toward her future, if you're familiar with what she's involved in. And other than that, next month, it looks like we might have a heavy agenda. Potentially three cases. We have two submitted already. We're looking for an engineer to get some of the pieces put together for the third one and get that submitted as well. We know it's on its way. So please make sure your calendars are open for that day. I'll reinforce, I want to reiterate that. Please make sure your calendars are open because we do have a number of positions that are currently vacant on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So we don't have a lot of flexibility for absences. While it's only 5 members can make a quorum, it would be nice to make sure that we have enough people to have to weigh in on things, particularly if there's any controversy or tough recommendations to come out of the body. Yes.
So my question is, since Emily was, I guess, a primary vote, does one of the alternates move into her position?
Not automatically. It takes a council action to reappoint alternates to regular members.
Which will be determined, I guess, at the next council meeting?
Yeah, that's with the mayor, and so the mayor makes those recommendations to the council, and then the council votes on that.
So who are our alternates currently?
Alternates, Mr. Greenhill and Sarah. So.
And it's like based typically first come, first serve, or were they both appointed at the same time?
It's at the pleasure of the council.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So there's that. Please make sure your calendars are open.
With that, I just want to go ahead and tell everybody I should be able to be here in April, but I want to let you know I probably will not make the May meeting because it is the second to last day of the legislative session, so I probably will be there. If that changes, I'll certainly be here, but just advance notice, that one will be tough for me.
Okay.
And for obvious reasons, my attendance is also in question. So.
In April?
Okay.
Question, can commissioners Zoom? Can they come, can they do a meeting? I'm not saying that any of them would. Because we used to.
We have that codified, and I haven't had to look it up for a while, so I'm a little reluctant to answer that.
You don't have to, I was just.
City council members can, I don't know if there's any.
If you're willing to accept this answer, I think that if a commissioner requests the chair, if I'm remembering what was codified, that there's an allowance for that in unique circumstances. So.
I mean, obviously we're more capable now than we have before. We think, I think.
As a practice, we broadcast these meetings live on YouTube, so members of the public can watch this meeting, but they're not Zoom meetings. There's not a venue for them to call in or to participate or interact. If you'll recall, several years ago, we did have some discussion regarding that, and but this is the format that we've been working with. Should anyone, the commission want to revisit that, we certainly can. But that's, I have heard that the YouTube option is I'm not sure if popular is the right word. I know there's a number of people in the community that do watch these meetings, from home, that might not otherwise.
So they get hacked.
Yes. Well, so so the YouTube can't be hacked. It's just it's kind of like the cable access television. You can watch it from home. Whereas if it's a Zoom meeting or one of the other formats, then you know, a person actually has to connect and everyone knows you're there and the microphone and such has to be muted or unmuted depending on the ability. But anyway, that's the format we work with, and as I mentioned, the small amount of feedback I've received from the public is that it works. It has that ability to watch the meetings. So.
Eric, do we have the authority to change the meeting date? I'm just curious more. We had found out no one was be able to make it.
I don't know if you have necessarily the authority to declare a meeting date, but we could certainly broach that topic. A lot of that depends on availability of a room, availability of staff resources.
We did change it one time.
But that was wasn't that at the?
That was at the request of the person that was, you know, that had business before us.
Yeah. So for calling a special meeting, yeah, that's something that commonly comes up, and we discuss and try to determine a day and make those checks, to make sure. If that's what you're asking.
I think his concern was if we didn't have a quorum,
Right.
would you be able to postpone the meeting to the following week when you might have a quorum?
If we don't have a quorum, then we would figure that out. Yeah, and we have had to do that in the past. It's very difficult to move a meeting date, certainly before the meeting, because they're advertised upwards of 2 weeks in advance. You can't move it because you have to have that meeting, even if the only thing to take place at the meeting is to declare a new date. Right. So.
Oh, no, you probably have to ask the city.
So can we, we're in the process of finding people to fill the seats. When would that take place? Like, what would the soonest that would be?
And so the
applicants, I'm assuming.
The process for people who might be interested in serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission is to fill out a volunteer application form and submit it to administration. I believe it's technically kind of human resources, but the administration who track those for all the boards, citizen boards and commissions across the city, and supply those names and those lists to the mayor. So that's where I would direct people. We've announced, at the staff level that there are vacancies. Certainly if not only any of you, but anyone in the community, if there's someone that is interested in serving on this commission, that's the route to send them. But we don't have any power at this body or at the staff level to.
Right, but I guess my question is, do we have any applications in, like, that could be reviewed, called back, or, because people, or is it like you apply at the time?
Yeah, I'd probably defer that question to the administration department.
I think there've been cases where people didn't fill out the application.
No. I just thought maybe they had a drawer of applications.
I don't think so.
That's okay. Yeah. Okay, so anyone watching?
Please.
One other thing, we did some recent zoning code amendments, fairly minor in nature, but if you'll recall, the drive-through lane and some storage, just things that actually kind of came out of the Board of Adjustment that we brought in front of you. We'd like to try to keep that process going, sometimes stretched in terms of staff time, put those packages of materials together and get them in front of you. But there are a number of recommendations that have been contained in a housing study and other planning documents that we have here at the city regarding some zoning things that should be looked at. So we're hopeful to maybe initiate that next month, somewhat time dependent, not only on the amount of staff time we might have to put together some information to present to you regarding those things, but also at the meeting, as I mentioned, there's 3 cases, and we would likely stack this at the bottom of the agenda as we normally do for discussion items. But some of the things I refer to is recommendations within the housing study that was conducted, I think a little over a year ago, where a professional consulting firm looked at a number of different issues on housing and produced a study which is available on our website. But a component of that study was some recommendations to look at certain zoning code items with respect to densities and setbacks and et cetera. So like I said, we're hoping to kind of put some of that information together, kind of be able to present some of that to you next meeting. would likely be a item that would continue on discussion to future meetings. So another reason to make sure your calendars are available for the evening and do your best to meet it.
Let's get out of here.
I think I hear the rain.
Yeah. Start.
Really?
Okay, anything else? All right.
Just a follow-up to something that we did a long time ago when we did that rezone out on Industrial Drive. Mel's Restaurant has built this humongous building. I went by there the other day, I was like, whoa. I mean, it's quite the deal. Yeah, so
It's big.
good on them, good on us, I guess.
Anything else? Okay. I declare this meeting adjourned. Stay safe.
Thank you once again. Careful driving home in the heavy rain.
I didn't bring an umbrella.